Looks like almost everybody's by Zoom except for Mary and I.
Okay.
See, I
How many
listened,
people do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 8? No, 7.
I think we have Sandra.
I listened to Ken when he said we should meet in person.
Mhm.
Do we have a full,
Yeah, with Mary, we have, with Mary, we have 8 tonight.
Hold on a second. We have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members. I don't believe Ms. Langford, Fleming, and I are counted as
No.
members.
I think we need 9, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Should we wait, you want to wait a minute or two, or?
yeah, we can wait a few minutes to see if somebody else comes in.
Okay.
How's everyone doing?
good?
Good, I'm glad.
Are we still meeting through the summer?
Well, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask. You know, we have not met quorum the last meeting, and we may not meet at this one. So I didn't know if you all were wanting to continue to say we're gonna meet through the summer. I mean, I don't mind if people are gonna meet, but if people aren't gonna meet, it's a lot of work to put it together and do stuff to not have people come. So, I was gonna ask about that today.
Right, and we're talking about how many meetings? June, July, August?
Yes.
Okay, so we need 3 additional meetings in the summer. And the question I had was, when do you actually start working on the budget during the summer?
We've already started working on the budget.
Okay, so when is there anything that happens during the summer regarding the budget that is of critical importance or timing wise?
So in June, the end of June, we'll take the preliminary budget to the board. In July, the tentative budget is taken to the board, and then September is the final. So those are the times that we take the items to the board.
All right, because, I mean, one thought I had, we can discuss it further, you know, is maybe we decide to have one meeting in the summer in August to look at the tentative budget and give any suggestions. You know, and then,
Brad, you said the budget needs to be approved by the board by the 1st of July. And so I think how the school district gets around that is preliminary, tentative, and final. The final budget is typically not approved till November.
No, it's
And to me, a
September.
budget is, okay, it's not available till November. So, that just seems kind of crazy to me. In my world, the budget was a point in time estimate. You didn't play with the budget after that. You might get additional funds, but you didn't mess with the budget. School districts playing with the budget, and they've actually had 3 or 4 changes this year because funds came in and other things happened. Did I write that in?
No, not exactly. So we have a preliminary budget that we get from the state right now and they approved, and I do believe that the governor has now signed it. We start building based on those numbers. We take that information to the board at the end of June. And in July 19th, the state actually certifies my tax roll and my information, and I get my second calculation at that point with all of the adjustments from the state. We make those adjustments from the state. We take it back to the board at the end of July with those adjustments for them to do a tentative approval. And then we have a public hearing at that time. And then in September, we take it back for the final approval, which, by the way, is all by trim, dates, and requirements in statute. It is not just a game we play, it is what we do. The budget is actually in effect on July 1st, but it's status quo until the final budget of September. When the budget is finally approved is when you can then make those major changes in the budget that were approved by the board. We are not like other government agencies that run on an October timeline, which I believe is what you're used to, Mark. We actually run
The school,
July 1st through June 30th.
I have a
but
question.
how can you, I struggle with the concept of starting the year without an approved budget. And I guess the approved budget is, it's an approved preliminary budget.
Correct. Mary has Mary has a question real quick.
Yeah, when do we get our, know what we're getting locally in property taxes?
So her question, in case you didn't hear, was when do we know when we're getting our local property taxes? So we have an estimate as of right now on what they believe our taxable value will be. On July 19th is when they actually certify that number with what they believe truly will be. And that's what they will send the tax bills out on.
Okay, could I make a recommendation?
But, you can make, we don't have quorum, so we won't be able to take any votes.
Okay,
So,
Well, yeah, well, why don't we, okay, so don't have a quorum, so that means that, we can't approve any of the minutes from March or April,
correct,
correct?
correct.
So, yeah, so I mean, by the way, I thought the minutes were great, which you wrote up from last month, those are awesome minutes.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody has any comments on them, I mean, if there's any corrections to them, I mean, obviously, we're not gonna approve them. So,
So briefly, the detail that was in those.
where can I,
Mary has another comment.
yeah, well, I'll just make a comment though, since we're talking about the calendar. Since we're not getting a quorum together, it appears, for the past few months. But it would be good to know, a little bit of information before September on the budget. Perhaps we should just look at a July meeting.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of what I was thinking too, I was gonna ask as well, is there like a budget workshop that occurs sometime in the summer?
Yes, July 20th, I believe it's on July 27th is the budget workshop with the board. Let me
And
just,
is that like a full day thing, or how does that work?
no, hold on a second, let me get my calendar here real quick.
Since looking at our calendar for a minute, my comment, I might have misspoke, but my point I was trying to make is throughout the year, there are budget amendments
Correct,
as the budget is changed, and those amendments have to go to the board, and the board has to approve them.
that is a correct statement. And that is based, so you know, where there's constant amending and
That's the unique
changes.
concept, yes.
But we also get our money adjust throughout the year. We're not like a local government agency, since our money is based on the students that we educate. We have surveys in October and February that adjust our numbers based on the number of students. So if we don't get the number of students that were projected, our revenue goes down. If we get more, our revenue goes up. So the budget has to be adjusted based on those. It's also adjusted throughout based on other things that come up.
How often do we get things like property taxes? Well, property taxes is typically, we got November, December, January, February, and March probably, as people pay, depending on how they pay. And then a half-cent sales tax, we get that monthly billing?
Quarterly, well, we get it, we get it monthly. I'm trying to remember. We get it monthly,
Yeah, but
yes.
we get, okay. And then any other income we get is just whenever it happens. happens if we sell excess property or stuff like that.
Well,
Or excess equipment.
And as we get grants and grants close and things like that, the budget will constantly be adjusted by that. And just so everybody knows, our tentative budget hearing with the board is on July 31st. And that starts at 5:01, I believe, PM. We do it, it has to be after 5, so
And it's, okay, so it's in the evening for
Yes.
a couple hours?
yes.
Okay, so kind of where I was going with it, and I don't know, you guys tell me what you think, maybe we could be invited to that meeting to observe and get all the background for the budget proposed, and then we could have another meeting in August to air our opinions on it, or any thoughts we have on it, or suggestions and that kind of thing, right? But I feel like in the past, we haven't had enough deep involvement in the budget to really have enough understanding of it. So if we did something like that, we could hit the ground running, on September. So you guys tell me what you think. I mean, that would be an alternative to just having, 3 unofficial meetings during the summer where we, people may or may not show up.
I think that's interesting because, I sent a note to Kelly and this, our board rep, sorry. And, said, if we're really the financial advisory committee, maybe we should put a 10-minute slot on every agenda to talk about financial execution. Because typically, Kelly helped me out here, typically by the 20th of the next month, you report to the board what happened as of year-to-date to the previous month. Is that about right?
Well, yes, usually the second board meeting of the month, we report what happens the previous month, any changes that have occurred.
Right, so in my mind, what I'm looking at as a financial analyst working for big federal government, we would look at the budget and then budget execution. So we plan to spend $2 million on something, and so if you kind of do 112, 112, 112, or if we know it's like a school where you gotta fund materials and supplies in advance and other things, but you look at it and see if there's any outliers. And in the last 2 years, we've never done anything like that. And the financial statements are hard to find because you've got to know which board meeting to go to and then dig it out of board docs. So, also, one of the things that I look at is the the annual comprehensive financial report that the district puts out. And that's a very telling document about what's going on. So, things like that, if we could review those, or even if Kelly just sent us out the link, where those financial reports are, that we could look at. You're muted.
I was saying, okay, I wondered if it was me. You're muted, Mark.
Yeah, so if we had 10 minutes on the agenda, probably right before the board rep, and just kind of talk about what, hey, I looked at this and it seems kind of odd that this is high or this is low or whatever. And to me, that's kind of what the financial advisor should be doing. 99% of the time, Kelly's going to have the answer for that, and if not, she can dig it out and tell us next time. So that's some of the stuff. Yeah, sounds good.
So I would just
So what do
ask,
you guys,
I would just ask though, so traditionally it's in the second board meeting that, monthly budget information goes to the board. It shouldn't be hard to find. It's under the business services area, and it's called monthly budget amendment and then the monthly report. So, I understand what you're saying, and Mark, and I emailed you back, and I know you heard of it. I am a one-person show as it comes to this, you all can't see, but I have no clerical, I have no anything here, it's just me. It is.
That's why we're just talking about it rather than a motion. So I couldn't find the monthly financials other than going into board docs.
Yes, that's
So
where it
you
is.
said there- Okay, so I asked Dr. B and the school board to put things like that in a more visible place so the average person can go out and look and see how the financials are. And I haven't gotten a response yet. So in my mind, we shouldn't have to dig it out, and I don't see that as your issues, Kelly. To me, I see it as public relations, because to have my support for more taxes or more anything else, I need transparency, and it's not there now.
Mary wants to
So
say
that's-
something.
Yeah.
Mary?
We, back a while ago, this committee recommended an audit committee. And the audit committee, I assume, is still meeting. I know auditing, you're looking at more past, and advisories looking at more recommendations. But they're making reports. Are they picking up on some issues and outlying issues when they're analyzing the finances?
So they have specific things that they've been looking at, and so they audited the sales tax. They're in the middle of that audit, the P card, our cybersecurity. So they're focusing on areas that have the highest concern in the district by board members or other people. We are audited yearly by either the Auditor General's office or an outside auditor, and that information is on the web when we get our final reports, as well as the CAFR that Mark was talking about and things like that. So all of that is out there for everybody to go see. I think what Mark's issue is, which I think overall everybody's issue is that they're hard to find on the web. You kind of have to search for them. I don't know, I don't control where things go on the web pages.
I understand that, Beth.
So, I don't know where that would be, but to duplicate efforts, like you're talking about the monthly reports that we give going out to another place so that you can find them, that's really a duplication of effort when you can access it through board docs by going under the board area. You just hit board docs and go to, it brings it up, and then you go to the second board meeting of the month, pull it up, the agenda up, go under business services, and you can see the monthly agendas there that we present to them. So I understand that the common person might not know that, but, to try and duplicate efforts, putting them other places, if somebody's looking for them, we can help with that too.
We'll be right on the same page, because that really tells you what everything's going on. But Mary, your question, I've got a buddy on the audit committee, and they're kind of being told, these are 5 or 10 things that we want you to look at, and then they decide kind of what's going on with the audit. They are not looking at monthly financials. So one of the things that I found is when you went from the budget to the financial execution, the project number that was in the budget was not included in the budget execution documents. So like a new school was project 1072, but when you look at budget execution, it was not listed as 1072, it was listed as the new school number. Now, to me, that's the kind of stuff that we should be looking at, so you can follow the funds all the way from budget to how we spend them, to know that, hey, we budgeted $90 million for this school, so far we've spent 115, we're 20% over, where are we gonna end up? And that's the same thing to me the school board should be looking at.
So that is a report that's provided to them on the monthly basis with the capital projects that you're specifically talking about, and that is listed that way. And I guess I would need to see what you're talking about when you're saying it's listed one way and then another. But as soon as the school is named, we change the number to the school location, the actual name of the school, so people can identify. Because if we just have elementary J, some people might not know what that is. So we changed that as soon as the school is named so that people can reference what it really is.
But you still, to me, you can't necessarily, you don't know what it was in the budget. You know personally, but the rest of us don't necessarily know that. So if you assign a project number, we ought to keep that project number all the way through the process of budget execution.
We,
Just, that, to me, that's the financial analysis stuff.
but when you say budget execution, I guess I'm confused. It is
You're
all the way
monthly-
through that,
you're-
through a construction project. When they start the construction project, it's given a project number, and that project number remains on that construction all the way through. The project number, not the location may not, but the project number does, all the way through the end.
But the budget report that you send to the board does not have that project number on the monthly execution. Go back and look at that, look at it.
For the construction projects, it does.
Okay.
All right. So can we get back to the question of meeting this summer, maybe?
Yep.
So I think we have a couple choices. I mean, does anybody have, should we take a vote on whether, we only have 8 people here. Who's in favor of meeting 3 meetings in the summer?
Well, I think we need to figure out why we're missing 7 people every month.
Right.
If you don't want to serve anymore, okay, we'll move on, but.
Well, I think that people miss more than what, they miss the 3rd meeting, they're off anyway.
Yeah, they're supposed to be, yes.
Yeah. What does everybody think about the idea of seeing if we can be invited to the budget workshop and then having one meeting in August follow-up after having gone to that workshop?
I don't know that.
I would definitely, over the summer, I think, it's important to use that time to really watch the process, the committee, and see what's going on.
I agree. Yes, Robert, I agree. Well, the budget workshop's open to the public, right?
Yes, it is.
Right, so we can go to that and then just go to the meeting after that.
Okay. Well, I don't know, I guess how many people are in favor of meeting all throughout the summer for 3 meetings? How many people are in favor of having 1 meeting in August?
I think August at minimum.
Okay,
Okay.
so it sounds to me like the consensus would be to have 1 meeting during the summer in August to kind of have and then I think that would be the appropriate meeting to deal with all these things Mark's bringing up, in terms of how the budget's presented, that kind of thing.
Okay, so what I'll do is,
Yeah.
I'll send the invite for the tentative budget hearing on July 31st so that everybody has it on their calendar with the date and the time. And then we'll look at meeting in August on our normal scheduled day.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, if everybody else is agreeing with that. Okay. So again, this is not going to be an official meeting because we don't have quorum, so we'll just run through if everybody's okay with it, we'll just run through the agenda. We don't have a public comment, I assume, I don't see anybody here.
Nope.
So welcome to Mrs. Langford Fleming, nice to meet you. I don't think I've met you before, so it's a pleasure. Thank you for being here. And the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me here. Proud to be part of the group, so thank you very much. I know new committees will be forming as well, so I'm not sure that I'll always be the school board member attending the finance committee, but keep in mind too that the workshops are always live, recorded, and able to be seen by anyone. If there's anything that I can do as a board member, or anything you'd like me to relay to the board, please just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Does
you.
anybody have any questions?
No, I've been following pretty closely. I was on 2 other meetings earlier. I'm sorry, I apologize for my absences. The last 2, I had other obligations that I needed to take care of, but I've been listening, hearing. Obviously, I've kept in touch with the minutes of the meeting and kind of what has been top of mind for all of you. But no, I don't really have anything. Obviously, you all were aware that we really, it's the best insurance that the district's ever provided for the, school district employees, so that was a big win for us. And then just trying to get through the rest of hurricane, FEMA, that's gonna be added to the budget and make some changes, but I know Kelly's working really hard around the clock with, as that information comes into us and what we're gonna have for the 23-24 school year.
Yeah, that's something that I was wondering about, because I remember a few meetings ago, she noted that there was some uncertainty regarding cash inflows because of the storm. And so I was wondering, did those actually occur? Were there any problems with cash collections? Was it significantly lower than is typical?
Yes, so far we are 28 million short still in our operational dollars. We have received our first notice of the rebates, and I think what they sent the other day was right around $5 million is what they've repaid so far, and it's just the first blush, so we're gonna see more of that. I will say the legislative session did pass a bill to help local governments and school districts to be able to recoup some of that. So now I'm just waiting to hear what the process is to turn in our operational losses in order to try and recoup some of those dollars, or, to get them so that we actually can have cash in the bank and have money to do what we need to have done. So I'm hopeful that even though we are seeing losses, that we'll be able to recoup them through that money that the state has set aside.
Okay, and then I had one other comment, and typically I noted during the good of the order, but since it's, the board members' time, it really goes to them too. With the passage of HB1 and the expansion of school choice, parents are eligible to receive vouchers for their, share of schooling expenses, and they can apply those to private school. If they don't need the money, they can put it in an education savings account. And they're also able to get it in certain situations if they homeschool. So just a little clarity as to where that funding's coming from. I know they estimated the cost to be around $4 billion for the state. Is that going to come out of what the districts reimburse? So if our student population declines as a result of that, if children move to private or children are homeschooled, does that lower what we receive
Yes.
for the public schools?
Yes, that will. The funding follows the student, so if the
Yeah.
student goes to a private school or whatever, and then they get their money through the family empowerment scholarships, the money will follow the student at that time. The state did increase their projected FTE in order to, because some of those kids that are gonna now be eligible have never stepped foot into a traditional school before. And so, they have increased their numbers. For Lee County, their estimate is that this year we paid out over $27 million in family empowerment scholarship dollars. And next year, they're projecting us to pay out over $41 million in family empowerment scholarship money.
Okay, and that's where I was going with that. What do we believe the impact would be from a student population perspective and a financial perspective? And, do you look at which schools it may affect more? Perhaps a school in a certain area, a certain demographic is more likely to homeschool their children or pull their children out or send them to private school when it's subsidized, because I think it's around 7 or, 8K, could be totally off on that. Local private schools are around, with the lower end, 12 to 15, that's half off. And so that suddenly makes it more affordable for a lot of families. So, yeah. If it impacts an individual school more so than others, and their funding decreases or their student population decreases, you don't think that would be significant then, 27 to 41?
Well, I honestly believe that the increase in the students that are gonna participate are the kids that really never have been in a traditional school setting anyway. That I honestly don't believe we're gonna have a mass influx of kids leaving the district to go to take it. I could be completely wrong. It's been available to people before they have opened it up and, offered some additional things, but,
Yeah, lower income.
yeah.
So now middle class families, it subsidizes, the school, and it actually makes it affordable
Yeah.
to people in ranges.
I think that, proximity is kind of gonna make a difference too, because, I think people will probably try and settle into the school and see if they like it or not first, before they make a decision, so I don't know, we've not seen a mass exodus of people, but it's, just now been going through the system, but to date, we have not had a lot of withdrawals, looking like people are going to be doing that for next year. But that being said, they could be waiting to see if they like their new school, if they like their teacher, so,
And the public generally, you'd be, in my opinion, I'm always surprised at how unaware they are of certain things until it starts to travel through circles, right? Oh, did you hear, the softball field? Oh, well, I put her in private because, there's these vouchers available. Oh, no, there's no income limit now. So it could take time for people to really become aware of it, but that obviously gives you time to prepare and you start to see those trends. And I know it was put into effect for July 1st, and I want to say that those scholarships have deadlines, or do they not, right? So it could be that they would go into next year, and do you have insight into the applications or withdrawals, and how early do you see that so that you can make adjustments in the budget if it starts to trend up?
well, we see the withdrawals as soon as they start occurring, right? Like we watch our enrollment and things throughout the year. But then what is it attributed to? We have to figure all that out. We ask questions and, where do they go to? What are they doing? And a student who chooses that program, or a family who chooses that program, still goes through our system and is reported through our system. So we can see when that change occurs. My biggest problem and concern is, and has been over the past couple of years, we have families who have received funding, and yet we're still educating their students. We have over 300 kids that are sitting in our school system that their families have been provided funding for the Family Empowerment Scholarships this year, and those kids have been in our classrooms every day. So I send the list to the state all the time and say, hey, what are we gonna do? So I know last year we recouped $500,000 from students that were reported that we actually educated. But until they do their true up, we're just out the money because they pool it and we're educating, so I have to have a place in the classroom for them. So, and I know the state is trying to work on some checks and balances to make sure that doesn't happen as much, and hopefully they'll put that in place so we can not see that as much, so that we have the money when we need it to educate the students that are sitting in our classrooms.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. I do see an increase in homeschooling and people looking at alternative education, so who's to say where it will head in the coming years? But I do think that offers a nice incentive to a lot of people. So it's just something I think to look at.
Thank you. Ken, you're muted. Sorry.
Okay, anything else for Ms. Langford Fleming?
I really have nothing, I'm listening, I'm hearing everything, yeah, I'm just, taking, kind of absorbing it all, so.
Okay, great, all right. So,
Jonathan,
Can
I jump in? We haven't been able to make our recommendation on impact fees, so what is the board doing to get ready to have the discussion with the county commissioners?
So, I think because, and I'll jump in here if Ms. Fleming doesn't mind, I think, first of all, she's not heard the full conversation around that yet. We were supposed to discuss it again tonight, but, it's 2026, and I know, Mark, that you're saying we need to react now. We are currently, our planning department, is a one-person show right now. They're trying to get a new director into there and trying to ramp up that division. Once they get a permanent director in there, I will be meeting with them and working with them on, trying to get the information to the, county commissioners and stuff on the impact fees and start having, putting stuff together so board members can have those discussions.
Well, the key here though is, in the past, we had the urinary Olympics between the commissioners and the school board. This one said, hey, you didn't ask me, that one, I did ask, that's it's gonna take that 18 months to have negotiations with them to get this worked out. So, we can't just jump in at this in the last, 5 minutes and say, let's get it solved. It's gonna take some analysis to figure out what we really think the real need is. And if you look at the budget over the past years, it should have went up, but the state law said it can't. But it's still going up because they're still building. And it just, to me, this is something the board really needs to jump on. And I haven't seen anything in the last year and a half on the board meetings about impact fees. And proportionate share. It seems like nobody on the board other than Chris Padrica understands the proportionate share. Actually, even the TCG contractor doesn't understand proportionate share. It's after an hour conversation with him. So those two things, that was going to be our recommendation, that the board gives a briefing on those two, impact fees and proportionate share, because it's something that everybody needs to be aware of at the board level.
Yeah, and, like I said, as soon as we get everybody on board in that area, we can start having those discussions with them, because that does fall under planning, to kind of work up some stuff. And so we will have that and then provide the board with the information that they need in order to have the conversations that are gonna be needed at that time.
Can I add to that?
Kelly, you've gotta put in a number for impact fees, what you're gonna receive in this budget that's effective 1 July. Where does the planning people give you the number?
No, we work on that number. We look at the past, and we've actually come in lower than, we believe we're gonna come in lower than our projection this year. We projected 34 million. We really think we're gonna come in at 32, which is less than we actually collected last year as well. So,
Okay.
we are looking at that and kind of trying to project out, where we think we're gonna be with the building and stuff like that. We know we're not gonna see an increase for a couple of more years. So as far as the dollar amount, so then it just comes down to the building, and that is an area we're planning. I need them to tell me, what they're looking at or what they're seeing future out, because I don't get that deep into the planning part of it, so.
Yeah, they've got to give you something so you can do some calculating.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
thanks.
And Mary had a question or comment.
Yeah, I just want to endorse what Mark's saying, and I know some school districts are probably already planning for making changes when they have the opportunity, and we're only talking about a few years.
Mhm.
So I think we really need to focus on that.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly, did you have any other points you wanted to bring up on the impact fees? That it was on the schedule for you. And, the only question I had, or sort of wondering, was kind of, what's the strategy of the board with the commissioners? Is there a strategy, or is that something to be determined in terms of having these fees increased?
Yeah,
And I
and
know there's a schedule they have to follow to increase them as well that you went through last time.
yeah, there's actually a study that has to be done, And so the county commissioners are the one who start that study that starts determining, the need as far as, with the schools and stuff like that. So that's an outside company that comes in and does that piece of it. The strategy, I think, then depends on the discussions at the board table with what it is that they're, wanting to do, willing to do. And I think that encompasses everything of what Mark is saying with proportionate share, with impact fees, with everything. I think it's a full picture to look at. And I am looking forward to getting our planning department up and running so we can start those discussions so that our board can be fully aware of all of the different options that they have. And then as a board, they can decide which way they want to go with it.
34 million, I don't know, it sounds to me like a really low number. Am I wrong?
Well, it's
Yeah.
should
Can I
be,
jump in, Kelly?
if we receive the full amount, it would be almost double that. But we're at 55% of the collection, so,
Right.
it is what it is, so.
In 2018, the commissioners raised the base fees for the schools for a single-family home to $5,484. And that was up about 25% from the last time they did it 5 years ago. And, so, you're talking 50, even 52, I think, or 55%, you're talking under $3,000. So in my mind, we're losing a lot. Now, are the contractors and, the developers and the builders gonna go for 100%? No, they're not, because those are the ones that pay for the election or the commissioners. So is there some middle ground here? So could we raise the base fee to maybe 6,000 and collect, 60%, something like that? That's gonna be, that's the negotiation that's gonna have to come. And then the other piece of that, as we talked about, was the proportionate share. And again, I'm talking East Corkscrew. East Corkscrew, there's 5 developments that have kicked in or will kick in almost $40 million in proportionate share to fix the roads, widen Corkscrew Road. So if you could take each development and say, hey, there's a new one coming over off of Daniels and 82 and whatever over there. Hey, can you kick in $5 million for schools because we need another school over in that Lehigh kind of area. So, Gateway, Lehigh, we need more schools. So if you keep the fees low and then ask the developers for proportionate share, I think that's going to be the answer. And that's why we want the board members to come up between Kelly and the planning people to come up with, hey, here's a possible way to go forward with this, where we don't piss off the commissioners, but we get some of the money that we really need to build the schools. The proportionate share has to be, like impact fees, has to be used in the area where it's collected. So if you're all the way out in East Corkscrew, it's gotta be kind of Lehigh, that area, because the one development's gonna be 10,000 homes between Corkscrew and 82. So you can put a school out there and it would support Lehigh, which needs 2 or 3 more schools in the next year. So I don't know, to me, the challenge is to kind of get that information together and to put a plan together that everybody can buy off on and we can sell it to the commissioners.
Yes, I
You agree with that, Kelly?
I do agree with that, yes, I do.
And I don't know what the answer is, but leave it where it is, it's not there. So maybe we raise the base fee, maybe we go to 60%, and then maybe we ask for proportionate share. So
So I have another question. All I see is multifamily housing going up everywhere. What's the deal with that? What kind of fees do we get on what kind of impact fees are charged on multifamily housing?
Hold on a
Because those can represent a lot of students.
if you look at the Lee County impact fee schedule, there is like 130 options. And it goes from condos, multifamily, single family, buildings, hotels, everybody, there's a different category for everything. So what happens is, the one that I did was just single family, but try to find that list and send it to Kelly, let her send it out to everybody that shows you how each particular building, each particular site pays so much in impact fees.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
give me a second, I think I have that, give me just a second.
Because when you talk about planning, it seems to me the study would also be how many students, what student yield is coming out of a typical multifamily housing project, you know? Because then you can have more students coming out of apartments than you do out of single-family homes.
Yeah, so,
And then the schedule should be updated to reflect the multifamily housing contractors paying a larger share.
so the.
And Sam, go ahead, Kelly. I'll jump in.
Like Mark said, single-family residence is 5484, and we collect 3,016. The multifamily or a duplex, and a duplex is 2,123. We collect 1,168. And a mobile home is 1,182, and we collect 650.
So the 1168, would that, let's, for example, if it's like a 400 unit apartment building, does that mean we're getting 1168 per apartment?
That I would have to verify, but I believe that's what they do.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, it's possible, with all the changes in the demography here, you know, we may be getting more students coming out of multifamily apartment buildings than we do out of single-family homes, and that 1,100 may not be the right number, I don't know.
I think it's space.
Is it space?
I think it's done on space, and so when you're talking residential, you're talking more space. I understand that when the best thing you could do getting money is to build, up and not out. So you're talking about, these high-rise condos.
Back to your planning, I thought in my ignorance that there was one calculation by the planning group that says if you have this residence, you have 0.2 elementary, 0.4 middle, and whatever backwards, 0.4 elementary, 0.2 middle, 0.3 high school. Well, they actually did a freedom of information request. And so they came out with, there's actually how many students per unit, residential unit, and they've got it by district, and then they've got it almost by neighborhood. Okay, so if you, in Gateway, there's a specific number, even though they're not building much more in Gateway, but, again, and it's almost, and that's gonna be the challenge then, get that back to Kelly. If you have a different percentage of possible or potential students for each development, you need to know what development's coming online next year and the year after that, so that they can feed it to Kelly, so Kelly can make the impact fees. I don't know how you do it, Kelly. I give you a compliment, Kelly, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Does any other comments on the impact fee conversation? I mean, I think last time, 4 people, the 3 of us were here, and 4 were not, of the people that are here today, so, I don't know, Mark, was there anything else you wanted to throw out there for
The minutes were really good, so as long as you read the minutes and understand that, I think we're good.
Okay.
Thanks for this, this is Robert, thanks for this, you guys, it's a really good discussion point. Particularly with, I live on Corkscrew East, so there is no place where there is more housing going up in the entire county than right here. I believe there's over 4,000 homes that are planned east of Ben Hill Griffin. It's just, it's unbelievable, so understand this is good.
Well, it's gonna be almost 20,000 in the next 10 years.
And I'm telling you, it's, anyway, this is totally off topic, but the planning that went into building Estero that was thrown out the window is a shame. There was work done. Those of you who know some of the folks that founded Estero, including Don, it's too bad because the work was great work and it was just tossed out, based on dollars, but that's okay. It is what it is now.
Other comments, questions, points that people want to make on the impact fee discussion? Kelly, is there anything else from your end that you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm okay. I just, Miss Fleming has about another 10 minutes. I forgot to tell you all that, she has another meeting she has to get to. So I just wanted to let you all know if she jumps off, if we're still in conversation, that's why she jumps off. So she has about 10 minutes before she has to go. So just wanted to say that, but I don't have anything else. I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, this is not really having non-official meeting. I don't really have anything else that I'm aware of that we want to be discussing. So I don't know who's coming back. I guess we'll have that one meeting in August, and then who has to renew their, or is going to be coming back or not coming back?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send everyone who needs to renew, hopefully you will come back. I'll send you a letter or an email letting you know that you need to do it and when the right time is to do it and everything so that you can do it. I think there's about half of our people that are gonna need to do that. So I'll send something out so that everybody's aware exactly who that is that needs to do it. So please be watching for an email from me if this is your second year. You are the ones that will be needing to reapply for the following year. I hope you will. I really do enjoy continuing with the same group of people so that we can not repeat things over and keep moving forward to make some real change. So I do appreciate if you continue to be on the committee, if you choose to. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree because the more people we can get to re-up, we're going to, half of us will have been here at least a year, and then when we meet in August, we can really kind of dig in.
Otherwise, same question, how are we funded, et cetera?
Yeah, we start all over.
Yeah, after the legal
Yes.
orientation.
Yes.
Okay, the only other thing I would throw out, we kind of commented on it at the beginning of the meeting. Does anybody have any thoughts on how we can, improve obviously the people that aren't here can't really, I'll be speaking for this, but thoughts on how we improve the attendance, The only thing I could think of that, maybe would be to maybe get although Kelly, I think you got this stuff out like a month ago, but maybe a reminder like on Monday or something,
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, I sent it out. I actually scheduled it right after. I went right back from here, typed up the minutes, did the agenda, and sent out the meeting notice all within the next day so that it was on everybody's calendar. But I can send a reminder to everybody again the Monday of the week so that we make sure everybody remembers it. So.
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, I find myself, I sort of,
Yeah.
the third Wednesday catches up with me, sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, it's already,
Yeah, you and me both.
So I think that,
Can I also, add to that, I wrote my email, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. So I always expected your reminder, even though I had that other information and had it. But I thought perhaps we were canceling it or changing it or whatever.
Okay.
So it would be really helpful to have that.
Yes, I will most definitely do that. So, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page so that I have not misunderstood. We're going to skip the meeting in June. In July, I'm going to send an invite to the tentative budget hearing to everyone. And, and I'll also let you know in that one that it is live, you can watch it live from home because it is, live. And it's always recorded, so you can always go back and watch the recording if you've missed it. And then we'll have the meeting in August as a follow-up to that with any, questions, responses, suggestions at that point. Is that right?
That's exactly right from my point of view. I'd like to encourage people to, if we could meet in person in August. You know, and I brought up, and obviously we're not gonna talk about it today, but, brought up the idea of us kind of saying, let's have these meetings in person and not do the Zoom or hybrid stuff. That I think probably would just be put on the agenda for the new year, for September, but, it's just really, I find it very hard to communicate that well over the Zoom platform.
I agree.
So maybe when you invite us when you send out the August, maybe put on there, we're encouraging everybody to attend in person.
Sure will.
And maybe if we kind of all feel like everybody else is gonna come in person, maybe that'll be more incentive for people to show up in person.
Okay, we'll do that, thank you.
Yeah. And also just being straightforward and saying very explicitly, membership is important, participating is important. We need a forum, we need people present in order to make change and to actually do anything. Just, being that straightforward to people and letting them know that, because we have Zoom. Doesn't take a lot of effort to open a link and attend that way. So it just isn't a priority, apparently.
Okay.
How many members do we currently have on the finance advisory board?
We
We're
have,
supposed to have 17,
17?
but I'm not sure if some have been knocked off.
Oh.
yeah, we haven't been removing anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been just kind of hanging in there, so.
Yeah.
That kind of brings up a question too. I mean, if we knock people off because they haven't attended 3 meetings, would that reduce the number of people we have to have a quorum?
Yeah, I can take a look at that.
Because why are we relying on, 4 or 5 people that really aren't even participating anymore? And now every time we meet, we have 7 people, we don't have a quorum.
Okay. Hopefully soon I'll have an assistant where we can, we have offered the position to someone, so hopefully I'll have someone who can keep track of this stuff, moving forward so that we can stay on top of it.
Okay. The other comment I would have is that I found that when the board member representative is at each of the meetings and engaged in the meeting and kind of updating us on what's going on, I think we become more engaged as well.
I agree.
And I think that's been something that's caused attendance to drop off.
Agreed.
So does anybody else have any thoughts on other ideas, membership, attendance-wise or whatnot?
Where is the requirement that we have to have, the quorum to do that? I don't know that, that's Robert's Rules of Order, I understand all that, but I've never seen a charter or a, mission statement or anything else that says, we have to have a quorum. Maybe it's just a majority of whoever's at the meeting that day.
I can clarify with, the attorney, but I think when she met with us the first time, she said we had to have a quorum, but I can clarify with her and see.
Yes, thanks. I mean, maybe that's an option, I'm not sure we want to do that, but it'd be nice to understand that.
Yeah, my understanding is to conduct official business, you have to have a quorum, but, I think it would be helpful to reduce the membership size.
Yeah.
If people are coming, then we would have a lower number threshold.
Well, we've only got 15 on the board, right, or on the committee, because each member gets 2 and then the chair gets 3.
Yeah,
So 2 times 6 is 12 and 3 is 15.
yeah, we have
If I'm doing
15,
math.
we have 15, yeah.
Oh, 15, okay, so we need,
We needed one more tonight.
we need 8,
8.
yeah. Okay, anything else for the good of the order?
Hey, this is Robert. Yeah, I do have one thing, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Right in the nick of time. I would, just one suggestion, and this is completely selfish, only because I do travel for work. Would love the option of maybe a certain amount of meetings have to be in person to maintain good standing. And again, it's a completely selfish request, based on the fact that sometimes I am not in the state, when we hold the meetings. So just something that maybe we can talk about as we, as you set the pace for next year, so.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, when we didn't have the Zoom thing going on, we would often accommodate people calling in to the meeting to participate when they were traveling, So the Zoom thing is really, I think, more the burden on Kelly and in terms of putting it together, technology-wise,
Yeah.
it's a lot, and also then when people know they have that option, I'm to blame as well, I've done the last 2, so, only because when I don't show up, nobody was there, but, I think it becomes something that people also fall back on just because it's easier.
Is there any discussion on time? I know if we go later, Kelly ends up working overtime, but, is 4 o'clock a difficult time? Should it be 5 or should it be lunchtime or, Maybe when everybody gets the note from Kelly, they, give their opinion on what time works the best.
Yeah, and I do know that, I believe that another advisory committee meets on the same night that we do. So if we were to change the time, I don't know if we can have 2 of them going on at the same time, so we might have to change days. So, but I can check that out as well.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, well, then I guess motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks everybody, and look forward to seeing you in August, and or at the end of July.
Okay, talk to you later. I'll be there.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Keep hitting the wrong button. Stop recording. Let's stop over here, let's stop over there.
I didn't say anything, but, I don't recommend doing away with an option to Zoom. Because certain people have,